We are now in Chichen Itza, the big imperium city. But in order to decipher a little bit more of what is Chichen Itza and why Chichen Itza became as big as it has been, we need to go back to the communities where the Olmecas were the ones that started to do the principle of planting, the principle of believing in something, and they created the serpent god. And the god and the Jaguar were their gods. But as they progressed and they became a little bit more acquainted with what they have, the serpent became earth and sky. And Quetzalcoatl and Chichen Itza are together in a way because on the other part of the story, some other people said that he came through the sea in the stomach of an alligator. He was presented as a tall white man with blonde hair and a blonde beard. And he came and built Chichen Itza. He taught the people from the little villages to join together with him and develop the great metropolis that was and is still Chichen Itza. In the relationship with Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan for the Guatemalan tribes, the Popol Vuh says that we were all scared, all cold in the darkness. So we went back to Tulan. And while we were in Tulan, the Xochicalcos were declared. The Quiches were declared as tribes, members of the 7 tribes, and they needed to have a place to live. So Tulan, in many of the Maya languages, means city. So Tulan could be a mythological name for a city or a simple city where they don't exactly have a name for, but from the 5th sun, which is the one in this era, for the Mayas, was Quetzalcoatl. And they needed to have a place to settle down. So what happened is that the gods, Quetzalcoatl and the other mayor gods decided that they were representing and creating the new people. And there came Balam Quiche, Balam Akab, Mahukutak, and Ik Balam. The 4 of them were created to guide these 7 tribes into where they will have the land where they will grow and develop their own communities. Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, who was a genius in many areas of work. He helped develop the astrology, he helped the building and architecture to develop Chichen Itza. But he went and says, I have to go. So he left together with Balam Quiche, Balam Akab, Mahukutak, and Ik Balam. They took the other tribes to their destination, to the place that they needed to live. And the big alliance began right there by all the tribes understanding and knowing where they began from. So, as I was saying, the Xochicalcos and the Quiches already have their place, but they didn't have fire and they were dying of cold. So Balam Quiche given them the fire for them to warm up and took them to what now in Guatemala is called Quiche and Lake Atitlan, where the Xochicalcos live and the Quiches lives on the other side of the lake, which is Quiche, the Department of Quiche in Guatemala, and the Department of Solola. So what happened is now that because of the alliance, they were able to travel from Chichen Itza to Guatemala and get other needs like salt, like jade, and some other first-hand needs for their development and for their sustenance. So when they were doing all of this, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan says, and realized that the tribes were all settled and all working peacefully and in order and with good behavior. So he decided it's time for me to leave. And he went to the edge of Lake Atitlan and told his followers that his time was up. Meantime, Balamakaw, Mahugutak, and Nick Balam had left already. And he says, my mission here is accomplished. And he jumped into Lake Atitlan and became the serpent, the feathered serpent again. And in Guatemala, in that particular lake, there's this wind sort of a tornado that develops every once in a while. It's called Chocomil, and it happens when Balam Quetzal jumped into the water and became the feathered serpent. The relationship now is that Chichen Itza, Palenque, all the rest of the communities, including Xinantunich, were all dependent on Chichen Itza on one side and Tikal on the other side. And so they lived together at a distance, communicating well enough until the priest became, all of them, they all called themselves Quetzalcoatl because that was the name of the deity. So from there, besides all the other elements that help the Maya to disappear, they began to worry because each other had more than what we have, and my tribe deserved more. So now they became warrior priests. And with that, they started to fight among their own cousins, their own brothers, and their own neighbors. And that's part of the destruction of the Maya. I am saying only what I have been able to read, what I have been hearing from people, but I think this helps us to understand a little bit more of what will be a little bit more profound later on, the spirituality and how all of this became a part of everything and not because of the fights, because of the not believing that one's supposed to have more than the other one. Before, everything was peaceful and everybody has enough to survive. Now that was getting rich. Going to Chichen Itza, and the importance is that it is one of the most important cities developed with the astronomy well set, because from the very beginning, Quetzalcoatl was related to Venus, and that's why they developed the observatory, and they have many ways to read the sky through the ground. I remember seeing in a place called Xochicalco, one of those observatories. You see down, you don't see up, you see down, and on the bottom they have this obsidian stone, a big disc of obsidian stone, so polished that you can see the sky from it. And it was dark, so it was easy for them to see that. And I understand that in Chichen Itza they were more advanced on the science and more advanced on the sharing of all of this to the other people, and they were taught how this was done, and they thought they knew more than the ones that developed. So each one went to their own place and decided that to create their own little kingdom. So now Chichen Itza, which is in constant communication with Guatemalan people or the people from Tikal, where they used to come and buy jade and do all their needs, start to pay for crossing borders, because now the other tribes, the other Quetzalcoatls, want to earn something that was not asked before, because they were only one single community, which is now difficult to understand. And that's the importance of Chichen Itza, because it's kind of, to me, it's going to be the beginning of a little bit more creative situation within the spirituality that we will be bringing to you a little bit more closer as we advance now, that we will have the opportunity to talk to the Kicks or Maya priest in Guatemala.